So, in planning all of this, there was another chapter in my life that means so much to me. And this is where I'll probably start crying. But 2 years ago, I was having lunch with a very, very dear friend. We've known each other for 30 years, but it was our first lunch together. And this woman says, "Oh, Cindy, I just love what you're doing, how you're advocating for women in automotive and motorsports." And she goes, "I have an idea. I want to do a documentary on a woman named Joan Cuneo." Does anybody know who Joan Cuneo is? I love that you're not raising your hand. That's why we did we started this. So Joan Cuneo raced from 1904 to about 1915. I'm getting the numbers wrong, but she was so badass, beating the boys. The AAA took women could not get their driver's license, racing license. It's a longer story to that, but we looked at each other and we said, like all of you not raising your hand, how could all these stories about women racers happen and nobody knows who they are? So we put together a list of amazing women, and we called it the Left Behind series. Get it? Left Behind. And this woman pitched it to her boss, and lo and behold, we came out with our first documentary that we're going to show you a snippet. And I'm going to go ahead and say Pam Miller and Lindsey, get your butts up here. Lindsey, Mandia. So we had the 2 Women Shifting Gears Awards yesterday for Jessica and Michelle. And we have 2 more for inspiring women. And these 2 are the most inspiring women in my life these days because we work very closely. Just come up here. Maybe you could sit down and enjoy the moment for a second. I love you, girls. So, Tina, let's take it away. This is Boundless, Betty Skelton.
All successful women know there was someone before them, a trailblazer who pushed the limits and created a path for future generations to establish new thresholds for success.
I can see the future painted in my eyes.
It's shocking that we don't know her name.
She was the fastest woman in the world.
In the 1950s, Betty Skelton pushed NASCAR to new heights. As the first female licensed race car driver, Betty set countless records on Daytona Beach alongside legends Lee Petty, Fireball Roberts, and Buck Baker.
I had a charter flight to fly 3 famous race drivers for Bill France Sr., who then was just getting NASCAR started. He said, "How would you like to come down to Daytona for Speed Week?" And I said, "Well, what is Speed Week?" He explained to me what NASCAR was doing with speed in Daytona. And I said, "Well, sure, I'd love to come, but I'd have to have a sponsor." 6 months later, he called and said, "I have you a sponsor."
This is where we come alive.
The speed, I think was somewhere around 143, 44 miles an hour, the average speed. It was a new record for women.
She immediately makes headlines. She breaks a speed record right away.
She was an amazing competitive person. I can't imagine what it must be like to be in the top of your profession. People just laugh at you because, well, you're a woman. I'm sorry, you can't. No, we don't allow women. Yeah, but I just broke the record. Yep, sorry. It's great you broke the record, but we can't recognize. And I just can't imagine what it must be like going through life like that.
Betty Skelton's accomplishments rewarded her with honors in 10 halls of fame, spanning across aviation and motorsports. Fearless and determined, gifted with skill and charm, everything Betty accomplished forged a path for the newest heroines of NASCAR.
I definitely was excited to meet Betty. When she came to Daytona to accept our Pioneer Award, she was an elderly woman, yes, but she was beautifully put together. The way she was dressed, her hair, her makeup, everything was just, like perfect. We gathered all of the gals together, and Betty came in. I introduced Betty to them and told them a little bit about her and that she was our Pioneer Award recipient. And she was lovely. I mean, these gals just all kind of circled around her, and she spoke to them. And I think it was when I handed her that trophy When she said, "Thank you so much," I thought people had forgotten.
So, how many of you heard about Betty Skelton? How many of you seen her movie? Awesome. So, Little Miss Betty here has won, nominated for Best Feature Documentary for the International Motorsports Awards. We were supposed to be in London this month or last month, huh? And then the Queen died. Is that why we didn't go? I don't know. But the same night that award, we were supposed to be in Beverly Hills for the Lady Film Festival. We were the kickoff for that festival. We won the International Women Filmmakers. We won Best Shorts Documentary, right? We got to debut Betty at the Automotive Hall of Fame on June 1st, the first ever women's event at the Automotive Hall of Fame, which has been around since 1939. Some of us were there, right? We got to debut her at the National Corvette Museum recently during their celebration weekend. And how many here are from General Motors or Corvette that were a part of all that? We've just been invited at the Grand Motoring Festival at the Hilton Head Concours. But here's the best part, is General Motors. They opened this up to every woman employee, and over 500 women got to see Betty. And then a week later, the three of us were on a virtual and got to share our story of how Betty started. How cool is that? Making a movement even within a company. And already Stacy Hayes, who's here, she works for the plant at Corvette and reached out to me and she said, we want to do a huge campaign. We want to make Betty shirts and Betty posters and, you know, the list goes on and on. So we're even creating a movement within her own company. I'm going to have you two say a couple of words, if that's okay, and then present you some awards.
Well, I mean, Cindy, I guess I'll start, you know, looking back at that fateful lunch, which brought the three of us together. I feel like we had a fourth filmmaker in this in Betty, because she just seemed to channel her opinions and her thoughts and her creativity through us. And I've had a couple conversations in the room already the last couple days about my biggest regret is that I know there were times in the last 20, 30 years that I was probably within feet of her and didn't get to meet her. And that's probably my greatest regret. But just seeing everybody's reaction and seeing how many people now know her name, which I think if we asked that a year ago, the room probably maybe 2 people might know her name. That's the greatest reward. I think I can say on behalf of the 3 of us that she's remembered and more people are learning about her because she influenced transportation after World War II probably more than anyone, male or female. And I think she deserves her moment, and I'm really glad she's having it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've been asked a lot, what did this teach us or what did Betty teach us? And I think she just really knew who she was and what she wanted to go after, and she chased that, and she also supported other people who were doing the same. And I look around this room and I look at what Cindy and Lynn and everyone who has been a part of this are doing, and I think we're doing the same thing, and I think Betty would be really proud. And so thank you guys all. You know, I hope Betty inspires you to follow your passion and encourage others to do the same.
And there's a lot of other women that have been left behind as well, and hopefully we'll learn their names soon.
So I have a little trophy for you both. I hope I don't drop it. That's kind of a weird way to hand a trophy. And then one for you, Pam. Thank you for inspiring so many lives, but especially mine. I'm so blessed.
Okay.